Hey folks, David Stewart here. Time for Thinking Thursday. What I'd like to talk about today is how the casino keeps all of your money. I've been talking a little bit about gambling and I guess approaches to thinking of gambling the last couple of weeks. It's not because I'm a big gambler. Actually, I am a big gambler because every time you walk out the door in the morning, you are taking risks. And everything in life is about managing risks, taking risks, reducing negative risks, and hopefully enhancing positive risks so your positive outcomes are good. Everything in life is gambling to a certain extent. But as far as gambling at casinos, it's not something I've done very much of, despite the fact that I lived in Las Vegas for 2 years. And a big reason was what I'm going to talk about today, which is how the casino keeps all of your money. And the casino will keep all of your money not because the odds are fixed so it's impossible to win. In fact, the odds, especially something like slot machines, those are managed by the Nevada Gaming Commission. The odds are fixed in a way that payouts do have like a certain amount of guaranteed return on them. It doesn't have to do with that. It has to do with the way that people actually gamble, and they gamble in a way that causes them to go bust, and after that there's no hope of recovery. So if you're gambling and then you're out of money, well, then you can't get any kind of recovery. Even if it's, as time approaches infinity and you're gambling, you're going to get back like 70% with a slot machine. The thing is that most people are not gambling so that time approaches infinity. They're gambling with a set amount of money, and when that money is gone, they're not gambling anymore, especially people who travel to a place like Las Vegas or Atlantic City for a weekend or two, once a year or less. They're only going to be gambling while they're there. So they tend to budget money for gambling, and then when that money's gone, they're not gambling anymore. And people who maybe are serious like gambling addicts, of course, if they go bust, then obviously they can't keep gambling either. So it's the same kind of issue with them. So if you imagine you're going to sit down and you're going to play blackjack or you're going to play poker, the big mistake a lot of people make is they sit down to play like a low limit kind of poker game at a casino, maybe a 1-2 poker. And if you don't know what I mean by 1-2, you have a thing called the button and the blinds. And so if you're on the button, you have to pay up the initial ante no matter what hand you get. Everybody else at the table, usually there's two people, one who has to do, say $2, and the next person has to do $1 minimum. Everybody else at the table has the option to quit, but those two people have to put money so that there's always action. There's always something worth betting. Well, a lot of people go into a 1-2 poker game and they're like, well, I'm going to take $100 into it. The thing is, when I lived in Vegas and I talked to professional gamblers, including professional poker players who would gamble with really obscene amounts of money that I could never really conceive of sitting down and playing at a poker table with, when I talk to these guys, the universal thing that they say is people don't bring enough money to the table. They go to the 1-2 poker game thinking they can gamble with $100, but in reality, they probably need to bring $1,000 because you can lose multiple hands in a row, and it's not like a statistical anomaly. You can play perfect poker and still lose a bunch of games. That happens. So what you have to have is a large enough bankroll, a large enough bringing in of your money to the game that you can sustain those losses in order to recover them. This is something that comes from professional players. So if someone's sitting down to play 1-2 poker, they should probably bring $500 or $1,000 to play, not $100. The thing is, a lot of tourists bring in $100, they go bust, they're done gambling. The casino, or in this case, the other players, have kept 100% of the money. With blackjack, it would be the casino keeping the money. So they sit down to play like a $5 blackjack game, and they're like, well, I'll play a $5 blackjack with $100. Well, there is a technique to playing blackjack. I don't think that there's a guaranteed way to win it, or casinos probably wouldn't have as many blackjack tables as they do. But even if you play some perfect method that's going to help you break even, let's say, if you're not sitting down at that $5 blackjack game with multiple hundreds of dollars, probably $1,000, you won't sustain those multiple losses in a row. You could lose like 20 times in a row, and it's not really a statistical, it might be a statistical anomaly at the best, but it's not that out of the ordinary. These are things that happen. And so if you can't absorb multiple losses, then you go bust. Now, the thing is that just like getting that guaranteed payout, if as time approaches infinity, you're going to get that payout from a slot machine. The thing is, in poker, as time approaches infinity, you're going to lose a bunch of hands in a row. So the casino knows that people sit down to gamble with less money than they have to actually get past those points where they're losing large amounts of money to then maybe gain some money back. And I say that, and people are going to maybe get very slightly triggered because there's gambling addicts that's like, I have to make back what I've lost. I have to, it's double up or quit. I gotta get more money. I gotta get a loan so I could make back the money I've lost. That's a true behavior that gamblers get into because they're unable to accept the fact that they've lost all of their money to the casino, and it's not a wise thing to do. My point is that before you even begin, you need to get the stakes low enough that you could actually sustain that if you don't want to lose all of your money. If you're just playing because it's fun and you actually don't care about losing the money, then it doesn't really matter. You can sit down with $100 to that $5 blackjack table, lose $100, and as long as you had a good time doing it, that's your business. But for people who are actually trying to not lose all of their money gambling, the thing is most people don't bring enough money to the table, and that's the way the casino keeps all your money. It's kind of a survivor's bias thing, but in the negative. So if you go bust, they kept all the money. It doesn't matter what the odds are. If you're playing slots and you bring $100 to play slot machines and you run out of the $100, it doesn't matter what the payout odds are, the payout percentage, or the odds of you winning are. None of that matters because the odds were actually zero after the fact. You weren't able to bring enough money in for there to be that, nearly statistical guarantee that you would have gotten the payout. So that's what I wanted to talk about today on Thinking Thursday. Leave me your thoughts about this down below. Keep in mind this comes from a guy who lived in Las Vegas, and I knew people who worked at casinos, and I knew people who were professional gamblers in sports betting and poker. Lots of different little areas of that, and this was the thing that the advice that they really gave me and gave to others is that chances are you're thinking of too low a stakes. Like you're thinking that 1-2 poker with its low stakes means that you have to bring low amounts of money, but that's actually not the case. You probably need to bring about 10 times as much money as you think you would actually want to gamble with, just for you to be able to continue playing, if you're going to, say, play poker over the long term to try to make any kinds of money, which I don't think most people should try unless you happen to be particularly skilled at poker. But that's a discussion, I think, for another day. So thanks so much, and I'll see you guys next time.